Hi everyone, welcome back to the Geen Garage. It's time for time. We've already started looking at time on the hour, and we've looked at time every half an hour or every 30 minutes. Okay? Today, what we're going to be looking at are times quarter past, half past, quarter to, and on the hour. So that means we're looking at time every 15 minutes. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do. You'll need your clock face ready. And we're going to start with this. Now I know, here's my clock face. I just drew a quick circle. And this is what I'm going to do. I know how many minutes there are in 1 hour. And there are 60. So I know that this whole clock face is worth 60. Now we talked already about going to half past. So if we folded this in half, I'm going to turn it this way. Okay, there it is in half. And yep, looks a little strange, but it's in half. And this time, if we did it in half, I'll put a half here. I'd like you to think about how many minutes there would be on each side of this. Knowing that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So we've talked about half an hour. So how many minutes would be in each half? Okay, hopefully you're saying there's 30 minutes here. Okay, I'm just going to write mins for minutes. This is the abbreviated form. And there'd be 30 minutes here. Now, I'm not going to do that because I've only cut one of these out. Look what happens. I've got my half. Or maybe I'll do it this side because you can see. I've got my half. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it again. Now, here's some... Before I open that up, I'd like you to think. We had a whole one and we folded it in half and then we folded it in half again. So, how many equal pieces will there now be? If you're not sure, I'm going to open it up and we can have a look. Okay, there's our whole one. And you can see there quite clearly where the folds are. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. I'll turn it over here, so just to make sure it's the same on the other side. It's not quite as obvious, but one here, one here, one here, and one here. And that's going to make 4 equal parts. Now, if we... Maybe I'll draw the dotted line down the half here. Okay, so you can, just to make it clear, there's a half. See? And then if we folded it again, that's the shape that it would come to. I'll just reopen that. A dotted line. And this means that we've got 1 shared equally between 4. Okay, and that's what this line means, to share it equally. So we've got 1 whole one, which is this. And we're sharing it equally between 2 to start with. And then we're going to fold it again. Okay, to make another half. In this case, is going to make a quarter. So this is a quarter, this is a quarter, and if we did another dotted line here, I'll just do it in dots just so you see the difference. That's the half. These are 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, and then 4 quarters. Now, if a half is worth 30 minutes, and we folded it in half again, what's half of 30? well, that would be 15 minutes. 15 minutes. And that's what we're going to be working on today. So, most of us know what this fraction is. This is a half. I'll write it. Half. And this is a quarter. Okay? That's a quarter, and that's also a quarter. And if you're struggling to think of it like a quarter from $1. Okay, there are four quarters in $1. That just means $1 shared equally between 4. Each of those is 25 cents. So don't get confused, because what we're working with is 60 minutes here. So I'm going to just push this here. So let me show you. What does that mean? How does that help us on a clock? Well, here's my clock face. You can see that all the way around. That's going to be 60. Now I'm going to use, I've got a dry erase. I'd like you not to write on these, please. But I am going to write on mine. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. You're going to be able to see a dotted line there. Okay, that's our half. That's going to be on our halves. Let's take that back just a touch. And then from the center, here are our quarters. Okay, so there's a quarter, there's a quarter, there's a quarter, there's a quarter. Okay, if I put that kind of over the top, you get the idea. Okay, if you want to make one of these, have a go. Okay, it's kind of nice to get it in your hands so that you can actually feel it, make it, and hopefully you'll understand that a little bit better. As you know, my favorite phrase, making the learning stickier in your brain. And if you make it, it will stick longer and more effectively. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take it back to, I'm going to take it forward to this time here. All of you should know that time. It's obviously 2 o'clock. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'll write that underneath. So if we are writing 2 o'clock, or if I was writing on my analog clock, it would look something like this. Okay, something like that. Okay, everyone happy with that? Hopefully so. Now, what we talk about now is this. Obviously, we know that this is 2:30 or 2:30 if we were going to write the digital clock. And we're now going to learn to tell the time when the minute hand is there and the minute hand is there. Okay, on the quarters. Now, from here, if the minute hand is between the 12, going clockwise, which is this way around, to the 6, we talk about how many minutes past 2 o'clock. So we'll start with this. Okay, I'm going to put the minute hand just there. And this time, it's not 2 o'clock, because we know that's 2 o'clock, because to be on the hour, or at 2 o'clock exactly, the minute hand has to be pointed straight up to 12. We've got the minute hand pointed at 3. So I'm going to get rid of the 2 o'clock, and I'm just going to erase my digital. Well, I'm going to start with the digital. Maybe you'll find this easier. Okay, so we know that it's still 2 o'clock. And now the minute hand is pointed to 3. Well, each one of these is going to be worth 5 minutes. So 5, 10, 15. So I'm going to put in there 2:15. Remember, this is our hour, and these are our minutes. Okay, just running out of room a little bit there. Wrong way. There we go. Great. So we've got hour and minutes there. Now, you can do is move that up a touch. Now, this is the slightly harder part. This is the bit that kids get slightly confused about. When the minute hand is, and I've said it before, anywhere from here, and I'm going to draw it all the way around to here, we talk about how many minutes past the hour. So in this case, we start with the minutes and we say 15 minutes. 15 minutes past 2 o'clock. And that's how we write it. 15 minutes past 2 o'clock. Okay? Because it's here's 2 o'clock and we've gone past 2 o'clock. It's now at 15 minutes past. Now, I'm going to bring this back in. Now, we said that 15 minutes is a quarter. So another way to write it would be a quarter past 2 o'clock. Now, that would be the correct way of saying it, a quarter past 2 o'clock. However, most people don't actually say it like this, and most people would just say it's quarter past 2. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of that. Most people just, oh, what time is it, Mr. Geen? Quarter past 2. That's how most people would actually say it. Okay? That's how most people would say it. So you could use either 15 minutes, or you can use the actual fraction, quarter past 2. And you might occasionally even see it written like this, with the fraction like that. Quarter instead of writing quarter. Okay, they're the different ways of saying it. So, right now, I'd like you to, I'll leave that there. Okay, I'd like you to, let's see if I can fit that in. I can. So, I'd like you to write down all the possibilities of that. All right, well, hopefully we're going to figure this out. I'm going to do the digital first. Well, I'm looking at the minutes. The minutes is still right. The minute hand is pointing to 3, which is 15. I know that's tricky to see because I wrote over it, but there's the 15. So I'm going to keep the 15 here. However, the hour is now, it's just past 4, but it hasn't reached 5. So I know it must be 4 something. So this is going to be 4. I've got to remember how a 4 goes, actually. 4. Wrong way. 4. 4:15. Okay, 4:15. That's how you say it. 4:15 on digital. Now, I'm going to go back up to saying it in words, and this, it's still 15 minutes past, but in this case, it's not 2 o'clock anymore. I'm going to be changing that to 4. 15 minutes past 4 o'clock. Well, I can change that up here as well to quarter past 4. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to know about quarter past. Super simple. Now, the bit that kids get confused about is this. And I'm going to now show you. Let me get rid of this. Now we know that that is 4:30, or once again we can say 30 minutes past 4. Now, there's a couple of different ways to say this. As soon as you get the minute hand goes past the 30, between 30 and 60 minutes, 30 and 60 minutes, this, if I can use a different colour on here, maybe a red. Let's see if this works. Nope, red's not showing. Maybe pink. Okay, yeah. So between there and there, okay, we talk about how many minutes to the next hour. And this is where it just gets a little bit more complicated, and most kids find this a little bit more challenging. And we'll go through it. Once again, we know this is 4:30 or 4:30. Well, we're working on quarters, so I'm going to put that there. Now, once again, I'm going to work out the digital first. I think that's the easiest way to do it, and then we can go to the analog. So, once again, here's what I do. I check. Has the hour hand reached 5 yet? No, Mr. G, it hasn't. So, we know that it's still in the hour of 4. Okay, that's this hour here for that hour hand. Okay, once it reaches 5, that rolls over to the next hour, which would be 5 o'clock. Okay, just to prove it, watch, when I move it to 5 o'clock, you can see that now the hour hand is pointed at 5. But it hasn't reached there yet. And we know that because for 2 reasons. Firstly, the minute hand is still pointed to 9. And the hour hand hasn't reached 5. So, my hour is correct. However, now, my minutes, it's not 4:15, which would be that. I'm going to pull that over here. It's now 4:45. Okay, so once again, I'm going to put that in there. It's 4:45. So that's how we say it. 4:45. That's how you say it on the digital. Now, we then talk about how many minutes to the next hour. Well, and I'll show you how to do that. We write it like this. 15 minutes, either, and there's a few ways to write it, 15 minutes to 5 o'clock. You might see it written like this, 15 minutes till 5 o'clock. I think this one is quite common here in America. This one you'll hear in the rest of the world. Okay? So 15 minutes to 5 o'clock. You might also see this. Quarter to 5. And that's how we would say it. Quarter to 5. So they're all the different ways of saying it. And let's figure that out. Where did we get that from? So we're talking until the next hour. So as soon as this minute hand goes past 30 minutes, or past the 6, we talk about how many minutes is it to the next hour. Well, if it's here on a quarter, we are looking at this section here. How many minutes until that reaches there to there? Well, I know that that is a quarter, and I know that that's 15 minutes. So I can say, oh, this is 15 minutes to 5 o'clock, or 15 minutes to 5 is how most people would say it, or 15 minutes till 5 o'clock, or 15 minutes till 5. And the final one would be a quarter to 5. And this is the bit that kids get a little jumbled at, between the past, which how many minutes past the hour, and then how many minutes to the hour. And what you're recognizing is this here. Okay? How many minutes is it for this minute hand to go from wherever it is to point to 12? Okay? From wherever it is to point to 12. That's what we're talking about. So even if it's here, we would tell the time, how many minutes from where that is pointed until it gets to 12. Okay, and we're going to work on those tomorrow. So, right now, I'd like you to write down what time you think that is. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work out, start with my digital. Okay, the minutes are right. It's still 45. I can see that. And except this time I need to check the hour. And the hour, oh, it's close to 8, but it hasn't reached 8. So if it hasn't reached 8, it has to still be in the 7 here. Okay, so okay, there's my 7. So I know that it's keeping my model here. Okay, it's not 15 minutes to 5 anymore. It would be 15 minutes to, oh, here we go, 15 minutes until this time, which would be 8. Or 15 minutes till 8, or this is a quarter to 8. Okay, a quarter to 8. Okay, hopefully you're getting that right. Now we'll just do 2 slightly different ways. Can you make 7:15, please? 7:15. 7:15. Okay, that is 7:15 or 7:15. Can you make 11:15? 11:15. 8 o'clock. 8:15. 8:30. 8:45. 9 o'clock. 9:15. 9:30. 9:45. 10 o'clock. 10:15. 10:30. 10:45. I think I said 10:45. So there we go. Should look something like that. And we can see here, if you're looking at the hour hand, okay, you'll see that that hour hand is actually 3/4 of the way between 10 and 11. Okay, so if the minute hand is pointed down to the half, and I mentioned this before, the hour hand is pointed exactly halfway between the 10 and the 11. It's now 3/4 of the way between 10 and 11 because the minute hand is 3/4 of the way around the clock face. Okay? Okay. What do I want you to do today? Firstly, I'd like you to start at 12 o'clock and I'd like you to go around with the clock face and saying 12 o'clock, 12:15, 12:30, 1:45, 1 o'clock. I'd like to do that all the way around until you get back to 12 o'clock again. That's activity 1. Activity 2, you guys can have a go at page 614. Okay, it's lesson 4. Okay, it's, oh, I can't see it, sorry. Time to the quarter hour. Okay, time to the quarter hour, and that's what we're working on. So, and this is just practice. Can you plug it in? Okay, here's my advice. Whatever time this is, make it on your clock. It's going to help you. Okay, it makes the learning stickier. So you've got an analog clock, you've got the digital clock. Okay, there's some practice with that. Then it's going to be, it's saying, what time is this? Here's what I would do as well. What I'd like you to do. Underneath this, it says, write the time in digital. I'd like you to write out how you would say this. Okay, I'd like you to write out how you would say this. And I'm going to let you choose whether you say 15 minutes till 8 o'clock or 15 minutes to 8 o'clock. I'm always going to say 15 minutes to 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to use the word to, even though it's scrolled off a little bit. Okay, because that's what I was brought up saying. So it would be hard for me to change. Saying till 8 o'clock doesn't sound right in my mind. So that's what I'm going to say. And I'd like you to write out one of those ways underneath all of them. Okay, in words. And you can go right the way through. Obviously, it's the usual program. Okay, we've got some word problems here. You can go all the way through my homework. Okay, ultimately, We want you to be able to tell the time to the quarter of an hours on the clock. Okay? Next lesson, 5-minute intervals. Okay, I'll say it again. You are going to work on page 614. In book number 2, you'll see that it's chapter 10. Okay, have at it.